Good morning. This is the first of our meditations in English. I've been doing it in Portuguese and in French, and we've been talking about grace. And today we are going to share about God's grace, when Jesus meets with a Samaritan woman in John chapter 4. And I'd like just to read the verse 4. Now he had to go through Samaria. He had to go through Samaria. Actually, Jesus was going back to where he lived in Galilee, and he was coming from Judea, and the text says that he had to go through Samaria. Actually, he didn't have to go through Samaria. Because Jewish people in those days, they tried to avoid going through Samaria to this territory where the Samaritans lived, and as he goes through this area, he goes through a little village called Sychar, and his disciples, they go into town, into the village, to buy some food, and he's going towards this well to talk to this woman, which is not it's unusual actually for a Jewish man like him, to be talking to a woman, a Samaritan woman. Actually, his disciples, when they'll come back from the village, they will see him talking to this woman, and they'll be surprised that he's talking to her. That's what is amazing about God and about grace. He's not talking to a multitude of people, to lots of people. He's just talking to a woman. He shouldn't even be talking to her. But he knows her. He knows that this woman is suffering, that she's collecting husbands. She's got one husband now that is not hers, and she had had 5 others. But the first thing that Jesus says to this woman, it amazes us, because it's not preaching the gospel to her as he sees her there at the well, but he says, "Give me water, woman, so I should drink." He's thirsty because he has become a man like you and I, and he's thirsty. But he wants to talk to this woman's heart. She'll be surprised that he's actually talking to her, because she's a Samaritan, and this man, she recognizes that he's not a Samaritan because he doesn't speak like them. He's got a different accent, and maybe he's even dressing in a different way. She's surprised. And the first thing that comes to her mind is that she's actually a descendant of Jacob as well as Jesus. And she says, "You cannot be greater than our father Jacob, who actually dug the well where they were drinking the water from." And Jesus says, "Well, I have a water to give you that is completely different from this water here, because you have to come every day to fetch the water from this well. But I have water from eternal life to give you. It's a water from God for you." And she was thirsty, that woman. You see what grace does? It goes out of his way to a village in the middle of nowhere where he shouldn't be because he's a Jewish man, just to give water to this woman. Later, she will understand that he's a prophet, because he knows that she had 5 husbands before, but Jesus is much more than a prophet. In spirit and truth, he's telling his wife, this woman, that's the way to worship God, in spirit and in truth. He comes to give her eternal life, the life that she needs, that I need. Jesus is capable of coming out of, grace is doing that, coming out of his way, going to this place in the middle of nowhere, just to share life to this woman. And that's what he's doing today as well, going everywhere, sharing the good news through people like you and I. He could even come himself in a revelation. Some people have seen him. He wants to touch people's hearts because we are thirsty for life, for eternal life. Later on, his disciples will come back and they'll be surprised to see him talking to a woman. And then, of course, a woman will leave. But it was Jesus at the time enough to share with her what he wants to share. Grace sometimes will go where nobody wants to go, just to touch someone's heart with eternal life.